Hey everybody! It's Molly and Dan, and today we're making fruitcake from a 1944 era recipe. I'm going to post the recipe down below in the description box so you'll have that available. And without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is prepare the fruit and nuts. Now I have all my dried fruit and candied fruit and nuts right here, and we're going to dredge them with flour. The one thing I want to note is I could not find citron or candied citron anywhere. So I'm just omitting it. Let's put the cherries, go in, and I'm using, my hands are clean, and then the pineapple. Now this is Candied Lemon Peel and Candied Orange Peel. I'm going to post a link above to the video where we made these candied peels.
Awesome video, by the way.
And then the currants. So the recipe says to use seeded raisins and seedless raisins. Now I was researching what the difference was between it. Apparently one is they had seeds that they removed. I'm just using a combination of raisins that are seedless. So I have golden raisins right here. Thank you. And then I have raisin medley right here. So use whatever raisins you want, as long as there are no seeds. And then our pecans and almonds are going in next. And again, here is our flour for dredging. Let me get you a spoon.
I was just gonna dig right in.
Do you want to use your hands?
No, I got dishes anyway.
Okay, and Dan's hands are clean, and this is probably easier to just toss them this way. Why would you cover these in flour? You would cover this in flour to prevent it from sinking to the bottom of the cake when it bakes. Coating it in flour helps it stay suspended throughout the cake while it bakes. And also chopping your stuff into smaller pieces will help it stay suspended throughout the cake. Okay, you did a good job. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you're going to sift together your dry ingredients. So the flour, the mace and nutmeg, allspice, baking soda, and cinnamon. You're going to need a very big bowl for this recipe.
Why do you sift it?
It incorporates ingredients better, I'm assuming. So I've moved my sifted dry ingredients to another bowl. So what we're going to do next is we're going to cream the butter gradually with the sugar. And I just added it all at once. Okay, well, cream the butter and sugar together. We're going to add our egg yolks. Next, I'm going to add the molasses. And I'm using apple juice for the fruit juice, and I'm adding that next. I'm adding my brandy next. You could add cider here if you didn't want to use brandy. And I'm adding my preserved strawberries. Now, these are not strawberry preserved. It's specifically called for preserved strawberries. So I'm going to leave a link to a Townsend & Son video where they make those. I believe that's what this recipe is calling for. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add all the fruit and nuts. Now we're going to add our dry ingredients, and it says add it about 1/3 at a time, and I'm going to give Dan a chance to mix this in. So while Dan is folding in the flour, we're going to beat the egg whites until they are dry and stiff. So we're going to fold the egg whites into the batter, and I'm going to start with a little bit of them. Oh my God. I'm struggling. I'm trying to fold it in. It's not very easy to fold in. Okay, so you steam this cake before you bake it. So what we're going to do next is I have an 8-inch cake pan that has been really well greased, and it's lined with parchment paper. And I'm hoping all this batter will fit in here. So let's see.
Well, if not, can we make 2?
Yeah, you can make multiples. You have to steam in a large pot, and I don't have a pot big enough to fit multiple pans. So I'm not sure what kind of pots they were dealing with back then. So this makes a 5-pound cake, and the recipe also gives you amounts for making a 15-pound cake. So if you want 15 pounds of fruitcake, I'll make sure I'll include those recipe amounts in the description box below. That's a lot of fruitcake.
Who wouldn't want 15 pounds of fruitcake?
You'll be so,
I know I would want 15 pounds of fruitcake.
You'd be so popular if you made 15 pounds of fruitcake and just passed it out to everybody. This smells really good. We're covering it with more parchment paper, and I have some kitchen twine, and I'm just going to tie it around. Good. I'm going to trim off some of this excess. So I have a stock pot with a strainer that the cake pan will fit into. We're gonna fill it with water, so you don't want to drown the cake, but just enough to give it steam. And then we're going to steam the cake in this with the lid on for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
So this is the setup. I have water right below that steamer tray, and Dan is going to put our cake in there. That lid does not fit very well. You'll want to check on this periodically to make sure you don't run out of water. And then let's set the timer for 3.5 hours. Okay, we'll see you guys in 3.5 hours.
Okay, so while the fruitcake was steaming, I made a quick brown sugar glaze to coat it with when it comes out of the pot. And this glaze consists of brown sugar, corn syrup, water, and lemon juice. And I just brought that up to a simmer and simmered it for a few minutes, and then I eventually took it off the heat. Here I am pulling the fruitcake out of the pot, and look at it go. It is quite warm, and setting it down. A little bit wet on top. Let's wipe that off. Let's set the glaze next to it. Just gonna cut the string, and let's reveal the beast. There it is! And I'm just going to apply the glaze, and look at that. Doesn't that look good? I think that would change the mind of anybody who says they hate fruitcakes. That looks too dang delicious. I could swim in that glaze all day long if it was socially acceptable. So I baked this cake for 1.5 hours in a 250-degree oven. And what is up with my tank top? That is not a good shot. Okay, don't look. Anyways, the cake is in the oven. Alright, our fruitcake is done baking, so let's get it out of the oven. And it smells amazing. It smells spicy and a little fruity. Let's close the door with my foot. Here we go. Look at that. That is hot. Look at that. A little more of the glaze on top and get it into every nook and cranny. That thing is looking amazing. Simply amazing, and finally done. A little bit of effort, but a lot of payoff.
We're going to taste test the fruitcake. So obviously it's the next day. I wanted to give the flavors a chance to meld. So just in case I didn't mention it, this recipe is from the Women's Home Companion Cookbook, which was copyrighted around 1944. So this is a World War II era recipe. We're going to taste this. The recipe says that you can wrap this in wax paper and store it in an airtight container, or what you can do, and what we're going to do, is we're going to wrap it in cheesecloth, and then we're going to fill this spray bottle with brandy. And now you could use rum or whatever your favorite liquor is. We're going to fill it with brandy, and then a couple times a month I'm going to spray this down with brandy, and then you keep it in an airtight container. This should keep for quite a while, as long as you keep it moist, keep it covered. So, you ready to taste this?
Yeah. I want some too.
That flavor reminds me of Christmas. My mom always made fruitcakes, and that flavor just takes me right back. So it's spicy, it's dense, it's chewy, but also a little bit light. Chewy from all the nuts and the fruits in there, but also still light because we did add the whipped egg white.
I'm usually not a fan of fruitcakes, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, it tastes like classic Christmas fruitcake, but like a good fruitcake, not like a crappy fruitcake, a good fruitcake. This is a good fruitcake. I mean, you can really customize it however you want. You could add whatever your favorite dried fruits are, or whatever your favorite nuts are. You don't have to follow what's in the recipe. Like, I couldn't find citron anything, and I couldn't find candy citron, so I just left it out. I think it'll be really good with the brandy that we're going to put on it. This is the brandy I'm using, E&J. It's very inexpensive. We don't, in my local stores, we don't have a huge selection of brandy. It's all just like inexpensive brandy, so I just went with what they had. I think it'll be okay. Dan, would you fill that up? What we're doing is we're going to wrap this for storage. Dan is putting brandy in the spray bottle. It says to wrap it in a clean cloth. I'm using cheesecloth. Put our cake, even while it's wrapped, you still want to put it in this airtight container. So I've got it in my Tupperware, and now, and if you wanted to, you could keep it in the fridge. There you go, 1944 fruitcake. So if you want to see more vintage recipes like this fruitcake, then please hit the like button and subscribe. I upload new content every Wednesday, and Dan and I are always here taste testing vintage recipes.
Bye, everybody.
I hope to see you in the next video.